Okay, this video is for chapter 21, the Messiah. This is a chapter not only very important to this book, but to the history and the time period in general. This is where you're going to meet Wovoka. We'll watch videos about this. We'll talk about this in the movie that we watch at the end of the unit, Burying My Heart at Wounded Knee. You'll see some reenactments of this character. So you're going to meet this character that's very important in the story of Black Elk. However, before we do that, let's talk about the chapters that we missed. So, chapter 17, he had his first cure, which was super important in him finding out and making sure that his dream was leading him to who he's supposed to be, helping his people. And he did. First cure, he had his first instance of really helping his people. In chapter 18, which we're skipping, he does a couple more ceremonies. And he's such a humble person that he says he recognizes and he talks about how afraid he was to start curing people, which is nice because when you think about big life-changing events or really difficult things to do in your life, if you're not afraid, are you thinking about it completely? And he recognizes how afraid he was, and he says if he hadn't been afraid, he'd have just been a boy with a dream and essentially nothing, which is so humble. Has more dreams, paints himself like the animals, and harnesses the power of the grandfathers. In chapter 19, things change. He's been busy helping his people, but he's 20 now. The last of the bison have been slaughtered by the Wasichus. He's still at Pine Ridge, practicing his medicine, helping people, but things are really bad. A few years later, when he's 23, so 3 years later, hope starts to grow again among his people, which is great. During that year, however, he's introduced to Buffalo Bill Cody. So a lot of you guys know about that dude from traveling out to North Platte. Cool, yay, Nebraska. So he joined Buffalo Bill Cody's show, which was a traveling Wild West extravaganza show. His people don't want him to leave, which makes sense. If you're helping your people, maybe leaving them is not the most helpful thing to do. But he really wants to get away from all the suffering. And you can't, it reminds me of the flight that happens when kids from small towns, once they go to university, a lot of kids don't come back to these small rural areas that are not suffering, but struggling. It makes sense to want to get away to get to something better. So anyway, he goes away with Buffalo Bill. He performs. He likes his part, not the part where they act out the Wasichus, understandably. And they go across the pond. They go to England, and he loves it. He says the Queen is awesome. The boat ride over there, I think he gets sick a lot, which is not surprising. But he's having a wonderful time away from his people and apart from helping them. In chapter 20, he has another big dream. Goes back to the spirit world. Not much happens in chapter 20. He doesn't tell the people he's with in the Buffalo Bill Cody show because obviously they wouldn't understand it. And then he comes home back to Pine Ridge and everything is just like he left it. Desolate. So let's read chapter 21 to understand a little bit of the newfound purpose that he has a few years later that will really augment and add to his purpose with his dream. And it comes from this guy named Wovoka, who is known as the Messiah. I'm going to move my laptop over here just a little bit. Okay. Chapter 21, the Messiah. Which, if you know that word, it's kind of synonymous with Savior, or we use it in our culture and religion a lot for Jesus. It's a person who will save the suffering people, who's come to lead us out of the darkness. Okay. There was hunger among my people before I went away across the big water, because the Wasichus did not give us all the food they promised in the Black Hills Treaty. They made that treaty themselves, and our people didn't want it, and they didn't make it. Yet, the Wasichus who made it had given us less than half as much as they promised. So the people were hungry before I went away. But it was much worse when I came back. My people looked pitiful. There was a big drought, and the rivers and creeks seemed to be dying. Nothing would grow that the people had planted, and the Wasichus had been sending less cattle and other food than ever before. The Wasatchus had slaughtered all the bison and shut us up in pens, and it looked as though we might all starve to death. We could not eat lies, and there was nothing we could do. I love that line about I can't eat lies. It's so sassy and true and, I don't know, heavy-hitting without saying a lot, so I like it. Can't eat lies. And now the Wasatchus had made another treaty to take away from us about half of the land we had left. Our people did not want this treaty either, but 3 Stars came and made the treaty just the same. 3 Stars is General Crook, and this is the Treaty of 1889, which doesn't ring a bell to me because I'm not your history teacher, but I'm sure Mr. Crook could explain that to you. Because the Wasatchus wanted our land between the Smoky Earth and the Good River. So the flood of Wasatchus, dirty with bad deeds, gnawed away half of the island that was left to us. Ooh, I'm underlining this sentence because I really like the imagery in it. I mean, I don't, it's terrible, but so there was a flood of Wasatchus, dirty with bad deeds, gnawing away half of the island that was left to us. When 3 Stars came to kill us on the Rosebud, Crazy Horse whipped him and drove him back. But when he came this time without any soldiers, he whipped us and drove us back. We were penned up and could do nothing. So the first time when Crazy Horse was alive, he was able to fend off this general. This time, nope. All the time I was away from the home, across the big water, my power was gone. I was like a dead man moving around most of the time. I could hardly remember my vision, and when I did remember, it seemed like a dim dream. So think about that. What does that tell you about his connectivity to the earth? The farther he is away from home, the less his power and his vision and his dream was apparent to him. That says a lot. Just after I came back, some people asked me to cure a sick person, and I was afraid that the power would not come back to me. But it did. So I went on helping the sick, and there were many, for the measles had come among the people who were already weak because of hunger. There were more sick people that winter when the whooping cough came and killed the little children who did not have enough to eat. Yep. So it was. Our people were pitiful and in despair. But early that summer, when I came back from across the big water, strange news had come from the west, and the people had been talking and talking about it. They were talking about it when I came home, and that was the first I had heard of it. This news came to the Oglalas first of all, and I heard that it came to us from the Shoshones and the Blue Clouds, the Arapahoes. Some believed it and some didn't believe. It was hard to believe, and when I first heard it, I thought it was only foolish talk that somebody had started somewhere. This news said that out yonder in the west, at a place near where the great mountains, the Sierras, stand before you, come to the big water, so that's out in California, there was a sacred man among the peyotes who had talked to the Great Spirit in a vision, and the Great Spirit had told him how to save the Indian peoples and make the Wasatchus disappear and bring back all the bison and all the people who were dead, and how there would be a new earth. So a couple of things. First of all, there's this rumor going around that someone out in California is talking to the Great Spirit, and he's telling them how things are going to be better. This is still happening in our modern culture, whether it's God, spirits. When I hear about things like this in the news, I watch the Murder Channel. There's lots of cult action. There's crazy stuff. People who think that they're talking to God, I don't know if they are. I don't think that they are, but this is a thing that happens. People see people suffering, or they have a power trip, and they get people to follow them. And some people completely buy into it, and some people think they're full of crap. In our area, if you ever read the book Evil Harvest, that's the cult in Rulo, which was started by, what's his name? It starts with an M. Mike? I don't remember. He was in Tecumseh. Where he was talking to God and had people living with him and believing in him, and then not believing in him. But anyway, that's the rumor. But most importantly, the message that this man who says he's talking to the Great Spirit, his message says, let's talk about this and write it down, because this will come back over and over again. The Great Spirit told him how to save the Indian peoples and make the Wasatchus disappear, and to bring back all the bison and the people who were dead, and how there would be a new earth. So we're sending the whites back to Europe. We're going to make them disappear. Or maybe we're not sending them home. Maybe like we're going to kill them all. If that's the case, then a lot of people might be alarmed at the time, which they are. We'll get to that soon. So we're going to get rid of the white people. We're going to bring back the bison, which will like replenish us. We're going to bring back the dead. I'm not sure how we're going to do that, whether it's metaphorically or physically. And then there's going to be like a new earth. Everything's going to go back to how it was. That sounds lovely. Or does it? I don't know. Okay. Before I came back, the people had got together to talk about this, and they had sent 3 men, Good Thunder, Brave Bear, and Yellow Breast, to see the sacred man with their own eyes, to learn if the story about him was true. So, these 3 men had made the long journey west, and in the fall, after I came home, they returned to the Oglalas with wonderful things to tell. There was a big meeting at the head of White Clay Creek, not far from Pine Ridge, when they came back. I didn't go over there to hear because I didn't yet believe. I thought maybe it was only the despair that made people believe, just as a man who was starving may dream of plenty of everything good to eat. So like maybe it wasn't true, we were just wanting to believe it because we were suffering. I didn't go over to the meeting, but I heard all they had to tell. These 3 men all said the same thing, and they were good men. They said that they traveled far until they came to a great flat valley near the last great mountains, before the big water, like the ocean. So this says in your asterisk here, Mason Valley, Nevada, located 40 miles northwest, blah, 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 at Walker Lake. Oh, okay. And there they saw the Wanika, who was the son of the Great Spirit, and they talked to him. The Wasechus called him Jack Wilson, but his name was Wovoka. Ding, ding, ding. Write this down. W-O-V-O-K-A. Wovoka. He told them that there was another world coming, just like a cloud. It would come in a whirlwind out of the west, and it would crush out everything on this world, which was old and dying. In that other world, there was plenty of meat, just like old times. And in that world, all the dead Indians were alive, and all the bison that had ever been killed were roaming around again. Sounds like a thing people would buy into. This sacred man gave some sacred red paint and 2 eagle feathers to Good Thunder. The people must put this paint on their faces, and they must dance a ghost dance that the sacred man taught to Good Thunder, Yellow Breast, and Brave Bear. If they did this, they could get on this other world when it came, and the Wasechus would not be able to get on, so they would disappear. When he gave the 2 eagle feathers to Good Thunder, the sacred man said, "Receive these eagle feathers and behold them, for my father will cause these to bring your people back to him." And that was all that was heard the whole winter. So they go out to check out what this weird guy is saying, and he says, "Here, do this dance, and this will happen." It sounds just like a lot of religions. Do this, and you'll get to the place beyond, the great place, the heaven, the hereafter, where, we'll see virgins in green grass and all your dead relatives. And the people who don't do it, they won't go. So I don't know, is this Christian influence? Is this like white man's religious influence? Is this exactly what was told to him? This is what he made up? We don't know. And nobody knows. That's why they went to go check it out. But if I were someone who was suffering, I would probably think this sounded really great. Okay, no. When I heard this about the red paint and the eagle feathers and about bringing the people back to the Great Spirit, it made me think hard. Red, paint, eagle feathers. Where have we heard these terms before? That's right, in his own vision from chapter 3 when he was 9. This vision that he's been holding on to his whole life. I had a great vision that was to bring the people back into the nation's hoop. And maybe this sacred man had the same vision, and it was going to come true so that the people would get back on the red road. Maybe I was not meant to do it myself. But if I helped with the power that was given me, the tree might bloom again and the people prosper. This was in my mind all that winter, but I didn't know what vision the sacred man out there had seen, and I wished I could talk to him to find out. This was sitting deeper in my mind every day, and it was a very bad winter with much hunger and sickness. So it makes it, maybe this vision, maybe he's been sitting on it and not doing anything because he's waiting for a partner. I don't know. My father died in the first part of the winter from the bad sickness that many people had. This made me very sad. Everything good seemed to be going away. My younger brother and sister had died before I came home, and now I was fatherless in this world. But I still had my mother, and I was working in a store for the Wasichus that I could get something for her to eat. And I just kept on working there and thinking about what Good Thunder, Yellow Breast, and Brave Bear had told, but I didn't feel sure yet. I think he's working in like a reservation store. During that winter, the people wanted to, During that winter, the people wanted to hear some more about the sacred man and the new world coming, so they sent more men out there to learn what they could. Good Thunder and Yellow Breast, with 2 others, went from Pine Ridge over there to California. Or Nevada, I guess. Not quite there. Some went with them from other agencies. Oh, agency, that's the word I was trying to think of. He's at an agency store. And 2 of these were Kicking Bear and Short Bull. News came back from these men as they traveled west, and it seemed that everywhere people believed all that we had heard and more. Letters came back telling us this, and I kept on working in the store and helping sick people with my power. Then it was spring, 1890, and I heard that these men had all come back from the west, and they said it was all true. I did not go to this meeting either, but I heard the gossip that was everywhere now, and people said it was really the son of the Great Spirit who was out there, and that when he came to the Wasatchus a long time ago, they had killed him. But he was coming to the Indians this time, and there would not be any Wasatchus in the new world that would come like a cloud in a whirlwind and crush out the old earth that was dying. This, they said, would happen after one more winter when the grasses were appearing. Okay, so one more winter in 1891, this whirlwind is coming. So they've got 1 year to prepare. And also they're blending in. A lot of these natives were converted and forced to become Christians at the time. And as you know, in Christianity, we killed Jesus and he's supposed to come again. So right here in this paragraph, they're saying, well, the white people killed him and he's supposed to come again. This is him coming again. He's in this person. We got a year to get ready for it. Let's get ready. I'd heard many wonderful things about the Wanika that these men had seen. And Wanika, W-A-N-E-K-I-A, that's synonymous with Wovoka, and it goes kind of back and forth in your reading, so pay attention for that, W to W. I'd heard many wonderful things about the Wanika that these men had seen and heard. They were good men. He could make animals talk, and once they were with him, and he made a great spirit vision, and they all saw it. They saw a big water, and beyond it was a beautiful green land where all the Indians that had ever lived, and the bison and the other animals were all coming home together. Then the Wanika, they said, made the vision go out, because it was not yet time for this to happen. So he's like, here's what it is. Nope, not yet. It's just the preview. After another winter, it would happen when the grasses were appearing. And once, they said, the Wanika held out his hat for them to look into, and when they did this, all but one saw there the whole world and all that was wonderful. But that one could only see inside of the hat, they said. But that one could only see him. No. Okay. So, okay. Take off your hat. And his hat is really definitive. You'll see it. I don't know what kind of hat it's called, but you'll recognize it. I recognize it from a couple of horror movies, maybe. I don't know, but you'll see the shape of it. But can you imagine? Someone gives you the hat to look into and you can see the whole world. Sounds like some Twin Peaks action. Good Thunder himself told me that with the power of the Wanika he had gone to a bison skin teepee, and there his son, who had been dead a long time, was living with his wife. And they had a long talk together. This was not like my great vision, and I just went on working in the store. I was puzzled, and I didn't know what to think. It sounds terrifying. After a while, I heard that north of Pine Ridge, at the head of the Cheyenne Creek, Kicking Bear had held the first ghost dance, and that people who danced had seen their dead relatives and talked to them. And the next thing I heard is that they were dancing on Wounded Knee Creek, just below Manderson. So now we're moving into Wounded Knee, which is the title of the movie, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, which you already heard about in your history class, which you know is coming up in this book from the notes and the PowerPoint information that you had at the beginning. Here, we're getting into that. If you don't know the name Wounded Knee by the end of this unit, you are not doing it right. This is big, and we're on the cusp of the big explosion. So, as you know, this guy Wovoka, or Wanika, Wovoka, he says, do this dance, the ghost dance, and it will bring about this wonderful utopia. The ghost dance you'll see in the video that I think we watch after this, similar to the sun dance, which we took notes on earlier, lots of circles. And in this dance, it goes on for so long, you can see your dead relatives because they're going to come back if you do the dance, but you can like get a taste of seeing those loved ones that you've lost if you do the dance. I did not believe yet, but I wanted to find out things because all this was sitting more and more strongly in my heart since my father died. Yeah, everyone's got loved ones at this time that they really want to see. Something seemed to tell me to go and see. For a while, I kept going. I kept from going. I didn't go. But at last, I couldn't stay away anymore. So I got on my horse and I went to this ghost dance on Wounded Knee Creek below Manderson. I was surprised, and I could hardly believe what I saw because so much of my vision seemed to be in it, in this ghost dance, in this scene that he's seeing play out before him. Oh my God! What is he going to think if his vision is coming true? Like symbols and objects from his dream are finally presented to him in this dance. Is he going to go along with it, or is he going to be like, nah? What do you think? The dancers, both women and men, were holding hands in a big circle, and in the center of the circle they had a tree painted red with most of its branches cut off and some dead leaves on it. This was exactly like the part of my vision where the holy tree was dying and the circle of the men and women holding hands was like the sacred hoop that should have power to make the tree bloom again. I saw too that the sacred articles the people had offered were scarlet red, as in my vision, and all their faces were painted red. Also, they used the pipe and the eagle feathers, and I sat there looking on and feeling sad. It all seemed to be for my great vision somehow, and I had done nothing yet to make the tree bloom. Here we go with his humble and his guilt of not helping his people yet. Then all at once, great happiness came over me, and it all took hold of me right there. This was to remind me to get to work at once and to help bring my people back into the sacred hoop, that they might again walk the red road in a sacred manner, pleasing to the powers of the universe that are one power. So red road, as you remember, the good road, could be literal, but mainly figurative, like let's have a good life. I remembered how the spirits had taken me to the center of the earth and shown me the good things and how my people should prosper. I remembered how the 6 grandfathers had told me that through their power I should make my people live, and the holy tree should bloom. I believed my vision was coming true at last, and happiness overcame me. When I went to the dance, I went only to see and to learn what the people believed. But now, I was going to stay and use the power that had been given me. The dance was over for that day, but they would dance again the next day, and I would dance with them. Yay! Woohoo! Okay, it's happening, it's happening. So that's chapter 21, the Messiah, where we learn about the ghost dance. And now the ghost dance plus the vision of Black Elk in chapter 3 are going to be one. Yay! Finally, he's going to help his people. Or is he? Good job.